today. Welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on Ask the Experts. This will be focusing on on-premise ITSM deployment and migrations. Some of you may have actually joined the session in November. We had a webinar that was scheduled in on the 15th. For content, I will share that post-event today, just in case you did miss this. What we will be focusing on, it's very much an Ask the Expert session. We've had 1 or 2 questions prior to this event, and we've got some sections we would like to go through with you. But please use this opportunity to raise your hand, ask questions. We will be working through logical steps and processes. And when we get to those sections, please feel free to open up any questions that you may have. So firstly, my name is Samantha Hudson dos Santos Figueira. For those, you may have known me as Eamon, so I have recently got married, so don't be confused with the 2 different names. I've been running this event now for 2 years. We run quite a lot of webinars or Ask the Expert sessions. These have become very successful, so we are throughout 2024 going to run a few more of these sessions. I work as a program manager, and I'm very fortunate to have with me on a regular basis great co-hosts and panelists. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to one of my co-hosts, Dimitri, just for your introduction. If you could then pass on and then have everyone introduced before we get started.
Hello, thank you, Samantha, for arranging this. Welcome to today's webinar, everyone. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you all here. My name is Dmitry Kornichuk. I'm a BMC solution architect, and my background primarily is with the IT service management, IT infrastructure operations, server automation, and integration. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and I will hand over to Murali. Murali, please.
Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. Thank you for joining today. My name is Murali Vishwanathan. I've been with BMC for like 18 years now. Expertise is ITSM, data migrations and upgrades. Nice to see you all. Let me pass it over to, I believe, Rastogi. Vish.
Thanks, Murali. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. And my name is Bhavesh Rastogi. I'm one of the lead product managers taking care of on-prem and HDM. I am a team member working under Rakeli, and yeah, excited to see you all in this session and hope we help you with some amazing answers to your questions. Thank you. I'll pass it to Shankar.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Shankar Ayanala. I'm part of SEALS team, which is Solution Engineering Architecture Leadership team. So my primary focus is to work with customers on the upgrades.
Thank you, Shankar. I
introduce myself. Yeah. So my name is Racheli Nehemia, and I lead the platform team for the entire DSOM unit. And as part of that, I lead the BMC Helix on-prem deployments and HDM, also Innovation Suite, and the common services platform that lies underneath the entire thing. So we'll be happy to answer any question around that.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think we still have Nilesh.
Hi everyone, I'm Nilesh Deshpande. I work with the SEAL team as a principal product developer, and I've been looking for the on-prem installation for common services, ITOM and ITSM. And today I will assist with the rest of the panelists in case if you have a question with the hardware requirements or the health check tool execution, I'll help you with that. Thank you.
Wonderful. I think that's all our panel. Have I missed anyone off?
Yeah, we have Mark. Hey, Mark.
Oh, Mark. And Mark, finally, Mark.
Yep. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Walters. I'm also part of the SEAL team. My main area of focus is the Helix ITSM, Helix IS installations. So I help out with any questions there.
And I think many people have seen Mark on many webinars with me. He gets asked to do a lot. So thanks again for attending and helping. Okay, so I think that's our panelists and our hosts that we've introduced. Before we just get started, just a reminder, because this is an interactive session, we record this. When you would have signed up and registered, we do let you know that this goes out onto YouTube. We do post the event post-event on communities. So if you do need to change your name at any point, you can put yourself as anonymous, but we want this to be as open as possible. And part of the use of having slides is also so we don't see always names popping up and you don't have to look at us all the time. So we've decided to categorize these in sections following November's session. So the first section we had was plan and prepare. I know that we have got a couple of past questions that we will go through because it's quite important areas. But one question did come in from Charles. So I wonder if, Dimitri, I can ask you to just read through that question and then we can have Charles come online and speak with us. If we could start with that question that we had.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, thanks all participants during the previous session. Yeah, so the question from Charles was, are there any out-of-the-box templates available to capture the migration details? Yeah, basically the answer is there are various options actually for this question. Like we have the checklist and assessment queries available. Assessment questionnaires available on the solution documentation. On the other hand, yeah, we have like really rough draft of the action item which we may suggest you to follow with the migration path. But in case if you have any additional queries or concerns, yeah, please go ahead and answer. Otherwise, if anyone else has anything to add, yeah, please go ahead.
I think we've got
I think you covered it all. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, so my question basically is, we plan to upgrade our system and just wondering that should we go to cloud directly or go through on-premise, go to container and then go to cloud? And can you experts tell us the difference or the benefit pro-con if I go to cloud directly or on-premise, staying on-premise?
What's your current version, if I may ask?
2002.
Okay, so that is our kind of last non-cloud version in on-premises, as you are aware. So the next step would be we would definitely encourage you moving to the cloud, whether it's going to be your infrastructure you're going to set up, or we have our Helix software as a service cloud also available. So those are your options. Of course, we definitely want you to look into our cloud deliverables and services because that's where we are bringing in new functionalities, features, and products. So we definitely want you to take advantage of those products and features.
Okay, yeah, so in terms of new functionality and new features, it seems like go to cloud, we will take advantage of the new feature you put there.
Absolutely, that's what we would recommend.
Okay, so and I know with containers, the version and the future, upgrading will be. I would assume that will be much easier. Just talking about upgrading, either from cloud on-premise, which one is easier?
As I said, the starting point. So when you're entering into the cloud infrastructure, there'll be a one-time infrastructure requirement for the hardware and Kubernetes setup and all, and the Jenkins and all that good things, right? So that's where you can review our documentation. We have all the details available there, right? So that'll be like a one-time investment if you're going to do it in your own. Or we have our SaaS offering where we already have the cloud and everything built up for you. It's more like a subscription service. You can what do you call? You can also choose. Yeah. So Bhavesh, and if you want to add something, please do.
Yeah, I think we might have to go to our own cloud because of security reason. So I wonder that we got a heavy customization in our environment, and it will the cloud environment, how the migration would be. I know we got a heavy, the painful experience in the past, from 7 to 9, from 9 to 18, and this time I don't know it will be the same pain or it's easier.
It should definitely be easier because we have an updated tool which we've been using for the last few years. It's called the Helix Data Manager. That's a data migration tool which will assist you to bring in your data from a customization standpoint. Of course, you need to review your customizations to see what you want to bring in, and we also have some good tools to assist you in bringing those customizations. So, for example, we have a tool called Workflow Migration Utility. If you're in 2002, you can leverage that. That'll help you to analyze and bring in export your customization which you want to bring over.
Okay, so talking about the customization, I know I'm not so familiar with the innovation, studio that much, and also with the advanced workplace process. I believe that right? So, talking about this customization, especially now in your smart IT environment, the direction, what's the BMC direction now for us? To choose down the road. You got smart IT, you got this AWP, you got this innovation studio. Which one, it's your direction?
It's hard to answer that. It depends on your requirements, right? So each of the products you talked about has a different use case, right? So for example, Smart IT UI is basically a UI people use now, but some users they moved away from using our mid-tier UI. They're using our Smart IT and Digital Workplace UI. So that's what they want to use. So it depends on the use cases. And for example, the advantage of the Innovation Studio is where you can go create your service catalog. So for example, if you have like SRM and SRDs, you can slowly move over to having DWP catalogs, which will work with our Smart IT and DWP user interfaces and things like that. Again, we have our dashboards where you can create reports. All that will be more user friendly with our Smart IT and DWP URLs and UIs, right? So it's more like you don't have to change everything rapidly because we still support our mid-tier use cases as well, right? So that's how customers evolve and start using our new features.
Maybe I can also add here, since
Sure,
Charles, you mentioned about the interface. So as you may know, for the Smart IT, we have the progressive web application screens. So it basically one of the major enhancements. And in case if you had some challenges previously migrating to 2008 or previous version 1808, 2002, I'm sorry. So then like the existing migration process is way much smoother. But again, if going back to the preparation phase, so if you are familiar with the containerized deployment, which is the standard as of now for the platform, Helix platform, then it should be pretty straightforward. If you're still like learning, then we suggest like spending or investing some time into like getting certified, getting experience with the containers, technologies, like the methods for the deployments. This would help you in case if you will decide to stay with the on-prem rather than with the SaaS-based. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's talking about the progress web application. So those, it's much more for us, like better customization for the current, convert. If I convert to current customization to this, progressive web application. So we just wonder that the direction of the BMC, you want to go to the route of the Smart IT DLP, or the ones, that DLP, or go to, or I can stay on this progressive applications there. Which one, we want, is the future direction for BMC? Am I making myself clear?
So are you asking if the containers will keep on being the future direction from BMC? The answer is yes.
I'm talking about the application development user interface.
Yes. So that's whether we're going to work with the mid-tier or PWA or IS. That's kind of more an application-based domain. If you want, we can have a separate session on that. I'll be happy to discuss the platform roadmap with you, but I think we are here about on-prem deployment. So if that's okay, we can schedule something offline. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. I'm conscious because we've got quite a few. If it's okay, can we move on? And if you've got any other questions, do reach out and I can put you in contact. Like Rochelle said, we could set up some separate sessions. Let's move to Santosh. I can see that you had your hand up at the start. Is your question around the planning and prepare phase, or is it around deployment? Because we are trying to break the sections down. If I know where your question is, then we can propose when we talk it through. Do you want to come off unmute? I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. I think we'll go back to the questions then, Dimitri and Murali. We've got a question that Mark's answering for Terry. So Terry, if you want to bring yourself off of mute, and Mark, if we can talk this one also live and retrospectively reply, so we've got the Q&A at the end. So Terry, you had a question. It's quite long, so I'll let you speak out. It's nice to hear someone else's voice.
Okay, sure, no problem at all. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I've been working with the on-prem version of ITSM and Remedy for over 20 years, but have very little experience with the new containerized version. So a question with the on-prem containerized, as applications get brought up in the container and drop down, the question is with respect to the logs associated with that application, where it's running, any logging that we do, and so on and so forth. Due to security requirements of the contract, we need to be able to capture and retain these logs for an extended period of time. So in the containerized version of this application, is there a log management retention utility that's included with it, or is it something that we have to manage ourselves? So for example, 3 months from now or a year from now, if we wanted to go back and look at logs from the application, how would we do that in the containerized solution that you have now?
So I'll take that, Sam. We don't have out of the box, we don't have anything that would retain the logs for that period of time. Which are the particular logs that you're interested in? I mean, I'm assuming you don't need to keep 3 years worth of SQL API and filter logs.
No. More so things like login, what they were doing, that kind of stuff, during that time frame.
So what are you capturing today then? The user log, for example?
Yeah, user logs. We could, for periods of time, turn on other things such as filter logs, that kind of stuff.
Okay. As you're well aware, particularly the IS, the Innovation Suite, the combined server workflow logging can be very voluminous. Mm-hmm. We have within the containerized releases a tool called the Support Assistant tool, which is used for accessing and downloading the logs from the Helix IS pods. But that will only provide you access to the standard retention period. I mean, it varies by log size. I think they're out of the box. They're configured for about 100 meg each with a certain number of rotations. So if you want to keep things beyond that, you would need to have your own solution in place. You'd need to put something either on maybe on the Kubernetes nodes to monitor the file system and grab them from there, or possibly a deployment of something at the cluster level to grab the logs and stream them out to your own log collection tool.
Okay. Is there anything inside the tool itself with the on-prem containerized version that allows us to configure it to send it to a third-party log collection tool at this point?
Not at the moment. Raquel, perhaps you'd like to comment. I think there are plans on the roadmap for improvements in the logging.
to support bring your own logging and divert the logs from the EFK where we push it into your own stack or your own tool set. And that's somewhere during this calendar year, I believe we will be able to provide that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That answers my question. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Terry. I'm just going to go back to the hands raised. Hopefully you can unmute yourself, but I saw, Hein, you had your hand raised. Do you want to come off mute, unmute and ask your question? Hello.
Yes, please. Can you all hear me?
We can.
Excellent. I just had a question which I've been, we had a couple of customers struggling where they want to migrate down to or upgrade to the on-prem solution. However, one issue we face is that these customers have an existing Kubernetes cluster in their server park. And on that cluster, they have other applications as well. And we faced a problem or an issue where I don't know if the current version or the future version will fix this, but there was a daemon logger which sort of connected to all all namespaces or all applications on the Kubernetes cluster. Is that fixed by now, or when will it be fixed?
Yes, we fixed it in 23.4, sorry. That's a release that came out last quarter. And the next release coming up next month, it will also be there. So you can apply. We fixed the part where we needed to support restrictive namespaces. That was the problem there.
Okay. So now so currently actually the issue is fixed.
Yes. In the latest version, you can deploy and use it. Yes.
Excellent. And also, before you needed the administration privileges on the sort of cluster level to install Remedy. Do you still need that? Or to install Helix, I mean. Do you still need cluster privileges to do sort of the full installation, or can you do with a sort of lower privilege?
All right, I know you don't need any elevated permissions, but
No, yeah, you're right, okay. We did away with the requirement to be a cluster admin. There may be a couple of prerequisite steps, roles and things to be created that you need to get the admin to do on your behalf, but the installation can be run without admin permissions.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Really good questions. Okay, let's move to Dwayne. I saw you also had your hand up. Do you want to come off on mute?
Can you hear me okay?
We can. Hello.
Okay, so we don't have Remedy in our environment, but what we do have is TrueSight, ITDA, BBNA, Discovery, Intuity, and it's all integrated into TrueSight as a single pane of glass. And so if we were to move to an on-prem solution, that would be BMC Helix in a Kubernetes package on our own VMware that we have. We have a rather extensive redundant VMware installation. Is this move going to give us any changes or enhancements, or are we going to gain anything? And if we do, are we still going to be able to use our other products like Intuity and ITDA to integrate with the Helix on-prem solution?
Do we have anyone on the panel that can answer that question? It's quite complex.
I guess I could simplify it by simply saying is will an on-prem Helix installation integrate properly with ITDA and Intuity, because we do use those products extensively for physical monitoring on site.
I have no knowledge of this, but I can check with engineering if you like and come back to you. We do integrate with other TrueSight on-prem solutions that are still on-prem, but I don't know about these two specifically.
Dwayne, we'll take that
Dwayne,
away as an action.
Dwayne,
Yeah.
maybe I can answer that question. It's Terry here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, so I certainly hope so, Dwayne, because that's exactly what we're doing here as well in our customer installation. So we've been told that yes, that will continue to be integrated and will support the mechanisms that you have in place currently. So yeah, that's our migration path.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Thanks. Really appreciate that. Sometimes other
Appreciate that,
people have the answers. Great. Does that answer your question, Dwayne, or do you have anything else while you're unmuted?
I'd like to see more of the presentation, so I don't want to hold
Okay.
you guys.
No, it's not holding us up. It's not really a presentation. It's just in stages so we can talk through some of the sections from November because we had so many questions come out from our last webinar. We felt the need to have this Ask the Expert session. So this is very much the opportunity for the attendees and audience to ask the questions. That's what everyone's here for. So if you do have another question, feel free to ask it now, or we can come back to you and you can raise your hand or put it into the Q&A, and I can move to someone else. So I'll leave you to decide.
I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So I will move back to the Q&A shortly. We have got still, Santosh, your hand is still raised. So I don't know if you heard me last time. Do you want to come off mute? Do you have a question for the team? Maybe we'll come back to you. If you want to put something into the Q&A section, type it and then we can answer that. Madhu, you're the other hand that was raised, so I'll just finish with you before we then go back to the Q&A section. So do you want to come off mute and ask your question? And
yeah.
Hello.
Thanks, Samantha. Yeah, hi guys. Actually, I've been ITSM since almost 20 years, but the new containerization makes little confuses for us actually. Yeah, but yes, I have two questions. Okay, one is I can see actually I opened my window architecture actually. So there are in the architecture ITSM architecture containerization window. I can see because I had the documentation almost 2-3 times. I did that. I read, but basically I have my own notes. The questions are certain things that the repository and the deployment engine and the deployment manager, there are certain boxes levels or are these kind of things when we are putting in the containers basically when we are planning for that, where exactly the hardware of virtual machines will come as a box wise, because this is some dilemma of most of the customers when we are sharing this architecture, the VM guys and then also container the person who is making this container, they are asking us, no, where exactly you want to put these VMs basically, which box? Is it a harbor and deployment engine is one box, or deployment engine and deployment manager in one box as a VM? The question is a little tricky for us, but there is no such documentation which tells us how many VMs are needed for a container to put the container cloud, the kind of things basically. Do we have something concrete? The first question. And the second question is, I'm into the even pre-sales basically. The question from the customer is, when customers has 3 kind of setups, like heavy customization and minor customization and medium kind of customization setups basically, when we do integrations, a lot of integrations are lower kind of integration, they are asking whether they have to go for SaaS or recommended on-prem, because as a pre-sales I couldn't able to answer it on correctly, because what decision makes the point that if it is having heavy customizations, I can't suggest, I'm guessing basically, I can't suggest SaaS. Is it that way? Or something I can tell, yeah, you can go SaaS without any doubtfully your all customizations will come. Can I promise kind of thing?
Should we take your first question? I think, Mark, that might be a good starting point for you, and maybe Murali to interject. Do you want to take that one?
So this was regarding the number of VMs that are required for deployment. So the 3 major pieces that you need. You need a Kubernetes cluster of some description, OpenShift, Kubernetes, whatever. You need, or we very strongly recommend that you have a local image registry server. The documentation provides the example of using Harbor, but others will work. And the reason that we recommend that you have one of those locally is to make sure that the images are available over a high performance link to your system, and that for resilience, you don't want to install contain directly from the BMC DTR, because that may not always be available. The third piece that you need is the deployment system, the deployment engine, and that's a single system where the deployment manager script for the Helix platform and the Jenkins system is used to deploy ITSM. So at a very, very high level, those are the three components. So in terms of the number of additional VMs, strictly speaking, it's one for the deployment engine, and possibly a second, depending on whether you already have an existing image registry of some description. Again, Rakeli, Bhavesh, we are constantly working to improve the deployment experience, and there are plans afoot to change the way that that's delivered, I think, but I don't know on what time frame.
Hi, Mark. Thank you very much. Just to, I think I know you better. I think when you are working with the CMDB, not the discovery, mostly you are. I know. Thanks. But the thing is that you said that there are 3 VMs mostly needed as per the architecture, because one is for Harbor, one is for deployment engine, deployment manager. Deployment engine and deployment manager can be put it in one VM?
Yes, that can be the same system. Yes,
that can be the same system.
Yes.
Right. But Harbor can't, because it should be downloaded from that. All images are everything, because that's not logically good. Right? So 2 VMs.
Two VMs. I mean, if you have a sufficiently powerful system, you can run Harbor and the deployment engine on a single box. But again, the Harbor the registry system is a critical part of the infrastructure. So really, you need to make sure that that's
different.
That should be treated at the same sort of level as your cluster itself. It's essential to maintain that the system can be running. You need access to that at all times. So you don't want to put it on a VM that may accidentally get shut down.
Okay, the final question related to the containerization. Can I, this is actually, I'm trying myself. Can I put these containers, I try to download, I got basically, in the Google Cloud platform by my own, or can I try basically, because we are partners, can I try by my own GCP, Google Cloud, by giving my own credit card details, because it is asking credit card as a temporary to access it basically. And I think there is a way that in a GCP that when I can put it temporary access, and it will take actual money from my credit card when I get actual deployment or actually use it or whatever. Is it doable or is it not doable basically?
The amount of infrastructure required, you can't do it on any kind of free tier for the public cloud services.
Is it that? Because Google, as I remember, they give an amount of things, but only thing after once I put actual usage, then they will charge on me based on the things. But so you said that it's not possible. Is it that way?
Well, have a look at the documentation regarding the sizing. You need tens of CPUs and more than 100 gigabytes of memory, plus the associated storage. So you need to be aware of what's required. It's not something you can deploy on a single system anymore.
True, but when I was giving CPU number and number of servers, basically, it is giving me a cost of how much they are going to charge monthly and also yearly. Okay, but the thing is that they won't charge until unless I say something. I have some button, I think, go ahead or whatever. But is it recommendable, or I really don't have any clarity that BMC will ask me why you did deployed on the Google Cloud services? It's not legal, or it's not good to do that. Is I have a dilemma.
Well, it is a supported platform.
Yeah.
So we do support installation.
Yeah, as a private guy, means as a developer, because I don't want to ask BMC legal team or whatever. You did our installation on, as a privately, because it's not for institution, it's not for even organization, whatever. It's a personal, basically. Don't we have any legal issues, or can I try, or is it okay?
Yes, you can deploy it. You'll be subject to the usual licensing conditions.
Okay, that's it.
You can get a temporary
Only
license.
3 licensing will come. I know the demo. Yeah, that's okay. I just want to plan the platform nature of deployment to show that because customers are asking us, they don't know anything. They want us to do everything basically. Okay, because in Saudi Arabia they are very new to the complete cloud and containerization basically. So they want to handle all these things. So even I was recruited for the recent, our BMC. What is that? There is a training actually. I think SEALs demonstrations. So I'm planning basically. But thank you very much for your information. I took my long time, but there is a second answer. Would you please answer anybody?
Yeah, the second answer you talked about Murli here. You talked about customizations, right? So again, you need to evaluate your customization. So for in general, right? In general, as you know, we have version differences and we have features and all that added, right? That's one thing you definitely need to compare your customization, see what you want to keep, what you want to redesign, what you want to reconcile. That's one scope of it. Just from a question about supportability, right? So you need to be careful about any integrations any customization integration which rely on any files sitting on your ER system today, right? Those you need to definitely redesign it, because in containers you can't place any files, right? So that you had to put it in a file share or whatever. You need to basically redesign that for input and output, those kind of things, right? And of course, if you're doing it on-prem, if you have any data, I mean, in our SaaS cloud, we don't encourage database objects, but in on-prem, you are okay, because as long as you have your database objects, you know how to, you're already integrating with those, and you have SQLs. If you already have those, that still should work, right? So that's the high-level answer, but you need to do a lot of analysis to come up with your solutions. Did that answer?
Yeah, Murli, we are near actually. This much we have some information. The thing is that, if can I say the customer, because I know that there are some C and Java APIs doesn't work. Okay, run process or something like that. That we know. But the thing here in the SaaS basically, if a customer has a huge heavily integrations kind of normal, REST APIs or whatever, because REST API is supported, will they get all the customizations that the people they built? Because we couldn't able to promise. This is something I was very not confident until unless I saw, and we are maybe on-premise something like that. Where exactly the decision point, I really don't know. That they based on the customizations or based on certain line of draw. So no, Madhu, you have to take the judgment based on this. So where exactly that judgment will come?
For answering your question on customization, that's what I said, right? So whatever customization they have, if they really want to bring everything, in the high level, we don't encourage everybody to bring like old version customizations. You know that the answer, right? So we want them to definitely take the opportunity, because they're going to move to a new platform, take the opportunity to see what features we have, what functionalities we have, do the reconciliation. That is definitely something we always recommend, right? From a supportability standpoint, as I said, the only thing you need to worry about is any integrations, customizations, which have a file dependency, which is sitting on the system. That's the only thing you need to worry about at the very high level. Otherwise, you have to basically have another session to where you can bring in some specifics. We can definitely look into those, but this is the high level answer.
Thank you very much, Murli.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Madhu. I'm going to move on to Robert. Robert had a question. I know, Raquel, you answered that. So if we can just repeat that for those that are on this call. There was a question around, is there a plan to move away from the deployment VM? We would rather see Docker image with Helm charts driven by YAML configs with maybe a web front end. I don't know, Robert, if you want to come off mute, and Raquel, if you can just repeat what you'd actually put in as a response.
Well, basically, as the question states, like we're finding that the deployment VM is kind of a clunky or kludgy implementation of a deployment, having to copy over all those Git libraries and Jenkins pipelines and whatnot. We're seeing whether or not that's going to be changed in the future.
So Raquel, do you want to just come back to the response that you put in? I don't know if Robert had seen it. It might be useful for others that are on this call.
Yeah, so I was talking on mute. So we are planning to introduce a new deployment utility to cover both deployments, upgrades, configuration changes, cloning an environment, all of this good stuff that is being done today, and all kinds of different ways, even different ways between the ITSM and ITOM deployments. So right now we're at the design phase of this utility, and the way we're planning on delivering it will be in a containerized manner. So that would be a container you deploy on your stack, and then it has all the necessary elements. We are not going to go away from Jenkins, so Jenkins is going to be included in that
But
container.
included in that container, yeah.
But you will be able to use that utility to do all this these steps and deployments, configurations, cloning, and all of that. I think the first phase would be the cloning part, which we believe is the most painful right now, even during deployments when you need to move from development to QA to production, and sometimes vice versa. So we want to introduce that during the calendar year. And I have a question to you, because this is being discussed right now, whether we're going to have a graphical user interface or use a command line or use the Jenkins UI itself. So we are collecting inputs from customers on their preference to understand what to invest in so that we can better serve our community here. So anyone who want to chime in and put it in the chat, I'll be more than happy to know your opinions on that.
All right, thank you. Are you thinking about potentially even producing a Kubernetes or OpenShift operator for this?
No, not
No,
at the
okay.
moment.
Not an
But
operator,
I
okay.
mean, if you have ideas around that, please do submit them as community idea. Contact us, send it. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to say, if you're not sure about how to do the ideas, I can send the link where to go and do that. Just let us know. It's on our BMC community, Robert. Okay, I see we've got a hand raised. Guilherme, do you want to come off mute and ask your question? Is it to do with deployment? Can you hear us? I don't know if you're having a problem with audio. Just conscious of time, I'll put you back on mute. If you want to put your question into the Q&A, and then we'll try and unmute you again. I know we had also, Dimitri, you answered a question in the Q&A, which was Gaurav's. He had a question around some issues that he was facing. I know you had asked which versions. Can we just pick this up? And if Gaurav, you're actually on the call and you want to come off mute, that would be great if we can open up dialogue. It may be that a support case needs to be raised, but you had two issues that you were facing with floating users. Can you hear us?
Yes, Samantha. So,
Hello.
am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, hello everyone. We have upgraded one of our customers' environment where basically we were facing these two issues related to the upgrade. Okay, one is right after upgrade we were not able to log in with the floating users. I will get back to you with more details on this. And there is another piece where all the PWAs which we have customized according to the customer's requirement got you can say reset it to some default values, and everything whatever we have customized, things were there on the PWAs, but I mean fields were there, but those fields were uh, not in a good shape, how we aligned basically on the PWAs earlier. So this is something which was expected after upgrade on the PWAs, or something probably we missed something during the upgrade?
Dimitri, do you want to start the answer, and then there may be someone else from the panel that can add? They may have seen or heard of this also a problem.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, sorry, I was talking on mute. Yeah, actually, I was able to retrieve some additional information from the sequence of Gaurav's queries. Going back to those two questions on the licensing. So normally, we do not expect any challenges once you perform the migration to the on-prem deployment. So it's just in place upgrade, nothing nothing special, no utilities, major utilities required other than in place upgrade. But we need additional insights like on the configuration. So we would highly suggest raising the customer support case, and if you could share with us the support case so we could take a look and investigate further what could be wrong. Yeah, we do not anticipate any issues with the licensing or with the PVA interfaces layouts. So yeah, actually we have had a few similar upgrades recently and no complaints. So we really need to investigate further and appreciate if you could share additional details.
Gaurav,
Yeah,
if
sure.
you want to share the information, if you haven't got it to hand, to me, and I can pass it on to the team. And if necessary, it may be that we need you to open a support case, unless you've got that today, the information.
Sure. I'll try to get that information from my team, and
Okay.
we'll share it with you.
Yeah, we work very closely with support, and if necessary, I'll drop my details to you in a separate email, and we'll follow up separately.
Sure.
So I have one question, Gaurav. So did you experience that issue after 3 days or before 3 days? Is there any specific time frame that you saw?
I checked I checked the system after 3 days, so I am not sure about before 3 days scenario.
That could be the reason. So basically, like, when you install, by default you get 3 days license. Within that you need to apply the actual license, so otherwise you will run into this kind of issues. So we have seen with one of the customer. So what we did is we reverted their database back and we reran the pipeline, and then they applied the license and that issue was gone.
That is related to the floating license issue, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So
fine.
Yeah, it could be. So you need to apply the actual license within 3 days.
Okay, got this. Let me just check with my team when exactly they applied the license, and the second one is related to the PWA. Let me just get back to you after collecting the information.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to the next question, and thank you for your question. Ariel, you had a question, and I can see Murali was about to answer, and it's around migration. So Murali, I don't know if you want to answer that question live, and Ariel, if you want to come off mute. This was around migrating the database from dev to UAT and then to prod.
I was about to, help Ariel and Murli with the answers here.
Go ahead,
So,
Pavish.
like Ariel said in this, that it was somewhere mentioned that BMC was working on a solution, and I'm glad to say that, as part of our next Helix ITSM release, which is ITSM 23301, slated for somewhere around March. We have a solution to create on-prem to on-prem DB refresh pipeline for, it would be coming up for Postgres. So with this, you would be able to copy ITSM external DB with all data after your replatforming from dev to QA to prod. So that is the solution that is already, our team is working on productizing, and as part of our next release, it would be G8. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks, Bhavesh. That's very nice to hear. And did I hear you correctly that this would apply to Postgres, or is it across or going to be available for MSSQL?
This would only be for Postgres, and for SQL and Oracle, it's going to come later. We're going to roll out the dates later when we have it.
Okay. Will there be any interim solution while you're working on this the process for SQL, MS SQL, and Oracle?
We will see one. Sorry. Once we start up as a solution, once we release this, we will see what can be a workaround, if there can be. But our highest priority would be to bring out the solution for MS SQL and Oracle as well as soon as possible.
Okay, thanks for the answer.
Thanks, Bhavesh. So Ariel, just to add to that. So today, I don't know whether you had a chance to look at our process. So we have a process which works today for the on-prem deployment, right? So in that, what we have done is, so you do all your development work in dev, right? So we have a process to follow where you set it to your admin only mode, and you have your team work on the development activities, right? Once you complete it, before you remove the admin only mode on the server, we encourage you to use a deployment console to create packages for your customizations and fixes what you've done, right? So that's what you're going to use, right? So you're going to turn on and do your testing, whatnot, add your fixes back to the package. So that's the package you'll be using to move from dev to QA. So that is a solution today. I would recommend you to review that process and maybe reach out to us if you have any questions, just to add on to that.
Yes, thanks, Murali. We are aware, and that's what we are planning to follow, I guess.
Okay. Hopefully that works as a workaround for now.
Yeah, the reason behind my question is that lots of customers deal with lots of data that need to be migrated as well, right? And that DB refresh process would alleviate some workload on redoing the data migration. But yeah,
correct.
Thanks.
Absolutely agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I'm conscious of time. We've only got 5 or 6 minutes left, so we've got one question left in the Q&A. If we can answer Brent's question, I don't know if there's anyone on this team that can answer Brent's, and then we have one hand raised, and then we will need to close. I'm quite conscious of time, or everyone else's time. So, Demetria and Murali, is one of you able to answer Brent's question in the chat? And Brent, if you want to come off of mute. If you haven't seen it, hopefully you can see it in the chat. And Brent, I can see that you're off mute. Do you want to even read it out, have a discussion with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can. Hello.
Okay, good. So I know BMC doesn't directly support anything outside of the BMC environment, but when it comes to certificates, you can't install it without the certificate, and there's many different ways to create a certificate. So my question was basically, does BMC provide any documentation on a recommended method of creating a certificate, and then how to apply each of those certificate and each individual type of certificate files to the various servers in the Kubernetes and in the Helix environment? From my experience, Harbor appears to be fairly well documented, but I've always had issues with applying the certs to the Kubernetes servers.
Is this specific for the custom certificate, your own signed certificate?
Well, I think it would be applicable for any of the certificates, whether it's generated a self-signed cert or generated by a domain controller or by signed by an official certificate provider.
Yeah, understood. So when you deployed the common services, then you have the option to define it creates the secret for your self-signed certificate, and then throughout the deployment, that certificate is used to put on each of the pod deployments. And for the ITSM, I need to confirm how that gets done from the Jenkins pipeline. If Murli, if you have that idea, when the secret is deployed and the common services, how it gets connected into the Jenkins pipeline.
No, not yet. We should get back on that.
Okay, then we'll get back on that for the second part.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer everything for you, Brent, while we've got you off mute? We have time for Pawan. I can see you've got your hand raised. Do you want to come off mute and ask your question? And hello?
Yeah, hi, Samantha. So,
Hello.
hi. So my question is, we have set up the Helix ITSM in our AWS, right? For the development environment. So since it's a development environment, means our customer doesn't want to run it on the weekends or on the business, means off business hours. So normally what I do is that off business hours, I just bring down the instances, means the Harbor, Repo VM, and the worker nodes. But the next day when they are brought up, so the Harbor Repo is brought up first, and then the worker nodes. So what I have observed is that for all the pods to come into the running state, it takes almost about more than 45 minutes to 1 hour. So is that the expected kind of behavior, or is there any other thing that I should do and I'm not following the correct process, or how? Any suggestions on that?
I'll comment. I think I think that's probably about right. If you're starting everything up from scratch, that because there's obviously a series of dependencies to get everything up and running. One thing you might try and do, and I don't know whether you are doing it, is to actually bring things up in sequence. I don't know how you're stopping and starting the individual applications, whether you're scaling the stateful sets, or whether you're just bringing the whole lot up and waiting for it to settle down. If you can do things in a particular order, and you'd maybe raise a support case for this to get it confirmed. But one of the issues I have seen, if you try and start multiple things at once, is that you get contention for resources. If every pod is trying to start at the same time, there can be a bit of a fight between them to get available CPU and memory. So bring up the Kubernetes cluster, but then consider starting each set of applications in series rather than all at once. But even then, I don't think it will gain you a significant amount of time.
Okay, because as of now, what I'm doing is that the Harbor VM, I'm shutting it down, and then because we have EKS over there, so I'm just turning the worker nodes count to means from 3 or 4 to 0 directly, and vice versa when I'm starting that.
Yeah, you may gain some time by scaling down and scaling up the individual components, particularly if you can script it. But you're still going to be talking tens of minutes. You're not. I don't think you're going to get much better than that, just because of the number of components that need to be started.
Okay, noted.
Does that help with your question?
Yep, Samantha.
Great. Conscious we've run a few minutes over. Thank you to all the customers for staying and listening in, and also for those that have asked questions. We will collate as a team. It may take an extra day because there's been quite a lot of live questions for us to go to get it all together. I will be sending out all of the documentation, the recording, which is being recorded as we speak. Any links that anyone suggests as well, I'll also add those, and any follow-ups, I'll also reach out to those individually. Before we wrap, I just want to ask the panelists, before also saying thank you very much for agreeing to host this with me, is there any training recommendations that anyone would like to make or bring up or share before we close this call? So that's to all of the panel. and my co-hosts.
Yeah, definitely, Samantha. So in this migration process, there are a lot of doesn't as everybody knows, like what we covered in the webinar. So we do have an end-to-end process which currently is tested and it works today and has a lot of good tools to be used. Probably maybe I can quickly share my screen and just go through them very quickly.
Let me stop sharing mine for you. There you go.
No worries. So this is the end-to-end process. If you're able to see my screen, let me know if you're seeing my screen.
It's just coming up. Yes.
Okay. So this is the end-to-end process which we covered, and this is the deployment architecture. Those details are already there, this is the Helix Data Manager, one of the tools, which is the main tool to be used for the data migrations. I'm trying to see how I can move this. Okay. And this is the one of the utilities we use, the export import utility. Again, all these links are there in the webinar and all the details which have been shared. And this is another utility we talked about, is the workflow migration utility, which helps you to migrate your AR objects and SIEM-DB objects from a 2002 version to the latest versions. Right? This is another main effort where you need to once you migrate your customer list, you need to reconcile. So there is an auto reconciliation utility also we shipped out recently, and this documentation walks you through how to use the utility and perform your auto reconciliation before you do your manual reconciliation of the AR and SIEM-DB objects. This is the license conversion utility. Again, we shipped this recently, which will help you to convert your classic license to bundle licenses. So I wanted to share that with you as well. And this is a subscription for the basically the SaaS offering portfolio. So again, this even though this says SaaS, basically it has we have an end-to-end process for also the on-prem container deployment. That's this one, and we also have, if someone is interested in SaaS as well, we have another offering for the subscription. These are like WBT courses, web-based training courses we have for the on-prem container deployment as well. And then we have our HTM training. There's two HTM trainings. One is a WBT and one is a instructor-led course, which is a 2-day course. So just wanted to share you. And then Samantha has already shared all these links. She'll again share it after this webinar. Thanks, Samantha.
I will add those, and I was going to say also to remind everyone that if you sign up as part of this webinar, you do get a 15% discount. So there's quite a lot of links to share. I will probably put it onto a Word document or onto a PowerPoint slide and add it as part of our ones that we've shared today. So Murali, I'll sync up with you to add those for everyone as well. But I think it's really useful for you to be aware that there is some training available if or should you need to take that training. So thank you very much for sharing that. So thank you everyone for staying. Thank you for obviously joining. We've got quite a few webinars that are going to start coming up. If there's any content that you would like to see that you haven't seen today, and again, we can run another one of these sessions in a couple of months if it's useful, please fill in the survey. I will be sending out a thank you email for those that registered and attended. So if you do fill that in, if you've got any questions or queries, feel free to reach out to me. And thank you again for our panel for putting all this together, because I know it's very helpful for our customers. So have a nice rest of the day, and hopefully see you all soon on some more webinars. Thank you, everyone.